What happened after you had sex with your best friend? Story number 1. It ruined everything. We don't talk anymore. I'm a gay man with a girl best friend since high school. This happened 7 years ago. I guess I was a little fluid during that period of my life when it happened. But totally prefer only guys now. I broke up with my boyfriend, who was cheating on me and occasionally physically hurts me in public. She was finally separated from her toxic husband, who also beats her up. I had a fist fight with this dude one time and he hates my guts and forbid her from seeing me. She became a single mom and she was barely having any sex with anyone at that time cause of juggling work and taking care of her daughter. One night, she was insisting on sleeping over at my place since her kid was at her parents' and she didn't want to be alone. I was like, yeah, sure, cool. We ordered dinner, watched Friends, looked at our high school yearbook, reminisced, having wine, probably more than we were supposed to, when it was time for bed. I told her that she can sleep on my bed and I'd just sleep on the couch like always, but for some reason, she was very persistent on making me sleep on the same bed as it had enough room and I eventually agreed. She played footsies under the sheets with me on my bed. It was kind of awkward at first cause I wasn't responding and pretending to sleep, but her hands were hovering on my chest and going down to my crotch and into my sweatpants. I don't know if it was the alcohol, her hands traveling to the base of my dick, or what, but she looked so pretty when I glanced at her and she just let out this naughty but sexy smile. I don't know, I caved in and kissed her. We just made out so much, then one thing led to another and we had sex. It was actually good. We kept hanging out for a few more weeks and I was developing some feelings for her. I asked her if she wanted to give it a try. I even thought to myself, I'll be fully ready to take care of her and her toddler if it worked out. But when I poured my heart out and confessed to her, she just ghosted me. I was crying for a month. Found out she has a new husband now and a second kid. They also transferred to my city and lives at the street next to mine. Story number 2. We did a friends with benefits thing for about 3 years. Whenever we were both single, we'd hook up. She lived about 300 miles away. We used to sort of dance around the possibility of actually dating, even getting married. But we never pulled the trigger. The distance was too much. I think we loved each other very much, got to the point where whether it was platonic or romantic love was difficult to tell, and weirdly, neither of us was in a rush to figure it out. I guess we both had faith it would work itself out as it was supposed to. And it did. She met a great guy, dated him, and married him. I performed the ceremony. After it was over, at the reception, I gave her a hug and she kissed my cheek and smiled a little flirtatiously. We both knew it was the last time she'd give me that look and said, "Thanks for marrying me." It was one of the most purely loving, intimate moments of my life. We are still close, not like before, but we still love each other deeply, and we always will. That love just has a more clearly defined label now, and it's a label we both respect and cherish. So yeah, it's not always a sad ending. Sometimes it's just a weird and beautiful intermission. Story number 3. He turned out to be toxic as fuck but hid it very well, so we entered an abusive relationship where he would badmouth me to everyone, making everyone around us think I was the abusive one while he was aggressive with me and would humiliate me behind closed doors. By the way, I only discovered he was bad-mouthing me only after the relationship was over and people were treating me differently. It was the worst experience of my life. It only served to learn when to walk away. The guy had a very serious mental health problem too, which made him slowly descend into very real madness, in the sense that I am not exaggerating when I use the word madness, which would make the cycle of violence very palpable, as the moments of violence and moments of happiness would be very extreme. He was either extremely in love or extremely destructive. I ended up having to go to the police to file a restraining order against him, which made him kill himself as soon as he got it. That made his friends and family believe I had killed him. While one police officer who took my testimony said what I was describing was considered a type of false imprisonment, I used Google to translate the word carcer privado, which basically means to imprison someone when you don't have the authority to do so. We use this word for cases of kidnapping in Brazil too. Oh, and another police officer said I was lucky, yes lucky, that he didn't kill me before killing himself, something he did have ample opportunity to do on the last 2 days we spent together. So yeah, a very traumatic but sobering experience. It made me have a closer contact with death, which puts everything into perspective and made me rethink how I was living my life and relationships. Guys, it just doesn't matter if they were nice once, if you had a very good friendship for years before hooking up, or if they are showing love you basically never had. When they turn dangerous, don't think of them as people and just escape. Don't try to be there for them or help, just escape. I mean escape, not leave. You have a very real chance of dying. Story number 4. My best friend as a teen was a beautiful young man. We briefly dated before becoming best friends. I took his virginity and it was typical awkward teenage sex. Our friendship eventually died, and us having sex just amplified those reasons. As an adult, I think of him from time to time, but no, there's no use in trying to rekindle anything. Our seasons together are over, and I'm grateful for the hard lessons and memories. I had another best friend later in life. He was like a mirror of myself. I coached him through losing his virginity to someone else after years of being best friends. We went on a date and had incredible sex. We knew what each other liked because we talked about everything together. We had a falling out after I caught feelings for him. I used to wish him a happy birthday once a year, and we'd have a quick catch-up conversation, and then it'd go back to silence. He married a girl way out of his league, and they have a kid together. That's last I heard from him, over 5 years ago, when he left me on read. I miss him sometimes, but I've moved on with my life. I still love the man they were when we were friends, and I wish them the best in life. If you're thinking of sleeping with your best friend, be prepared for how sour it can turn. Story number 5. Best friends for 7 years, and we both just went through really nasty breakups where we were cheated on, ended up having sex when he came over at like 4 a.m. one night. We ended up sleeping together daily for weeks. After that, I ended up pregnant, and to be honest, I was terrified. I wasn't sure if he'd be willing to stick around, given the circumstances. Turns out he was excited. Having a family was all he ever wanted. We didn't start dating immediately. I didn't want us to be together solely for the fact that we were having a baby. I wanted to make sure there was an actual connection there. In October, after months of basically living together, we made it official. Baby boy is due any day now, and we couldn't be any happier. Having him come over that night in June was the best decision I ever made.